going to talk about mice and other creepy little creatures that could be in your home. This is Rebecca Gaetz-Bishop, your trusted real estate agent with Keller Williams Premier Realty. I'm here to keep it real with you. So let's talk about critters. All right, guys, you know I'm a huge advocate for having a home inspection, okay? I think every buyer should have a home inspection. They should at least be aware of what's going on in the house. With that being said, a home inspector is not going to catch everything, and they are certainly not always going to catch creatures in your house. Creatures don't tend to stay around when they hear noise or when they hear an inspector inspecting. It's like they have this keen little sense. They don't want to be caught. It's nice and cozy in the home. I'll give an example here. As most of you know, I bought this house back in December of 2023. Old house, zoned commercial, thought it would be perfect for my office. Bought it, it was a shithole, totally redid it. It's beautiful now, I love it. But bought it in December, had a home inspection. Come March, April, had some electrical work done, I was getting some insulation in the attic, only to find out that my attic was infested with bats, of all things. No idea. This is not something that the home inspector would have necessarily seen. The bats hibernate. They hide very well. To be honest with you, I'd been up in that attic several times. I never saw bats. I didn't hear bats. I guess, they're sleeping or whatever they're doing. So I had been up there also. I didn't see any bats. Not until they came to do the insulation, and they kindly let me know that it was the most amount of bats that they had seen in an attic. Also, did you know that bats are protected, that you cannot hurt them, you cannot kill them, and that you can only vacate them during certain periods of the year? So come May, during that period, I did have them removed. But again, this is not something that is going to be necessarily caught on a home inspection. Also, I recently had a couple that I absolutely adore. I've worked with them a couple of times. We found them a new home, nice little home for them and their family. And she calls me and she said, "Rebecca, our house is infested with mice." Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like mice. It's probably, I'd rather see a snake, and I'd rather have an infestation of bats than to see one mouse. I don't know why. Those little four-legged creatures scare me to death. You'll see me screaming and up on a table or something. I don't like mice. So obviously when she gave me that phone call, my stomach just dropped. Unfortunately, there wasn't a whole lot that we could do. Again, it's not something that the home inspector is necessarily going to find mice scatter when they hear noise, because they don't like us either. And a termite inspection isn't going to catch mice. So just like I had to deal with my bats, unfortunately, they're having to deal with the mice. There's a lot of things such as that a home inspector is not always going to be able to catch. They cannot see behind walls. They cannot see in a finished basement if there's mold, or there's certain things that a home inspector is not able to do. They don't remove walls to observe behind it. They do not remove paneling. That's a big one. Paneling, they can't remove it. They cannot alter a seller's home to do an inspection. So obviously, we'd like to think that when we have a home inspector, that the home inspector is going to be able to catch every single little thing, including any rodents in the house. But the fact is, it simply cannot be done, and we can't hold that home inspector responsible for it. It is part of home ownership. I'm still going to be a huge advocate that home ownership is the very best thing that we can do for ourselves, is to own our own home. There's a lot of pride in it. There's a lot of perks to being a homeowner also. Unfortunately, we do have to deal with that. Other little creatures that we deal with are termites. Now, again, I've done videos before talking about termites. They are very common here in Illinois. I would say probably 2 out of 3 of my contracts come back saying that the house needs to be treated. And I've said before, my termite guy says every house at some point is going to get termites and is going to need treatment. Now, I don't know if that's true, but that's what my termite guy says. I can tell you not to freak out about the termites. What we're looking for is to ensure that there is not any structural damage. If there are termites, it is on the seller to have the termites treated, and then you're covered. I would obviously recommend that you can go on to a maintenance system with a termite company. They will come out, they will check every year thereafter, make sure that there's no other little critters, termites that is, and if they find anything, they treat it for free. I find it well worth it. This place here, again, not only did I have bats, it had termites also. So the seller was responsible for that. I did buy the house as is. Termite is not covered under the as is, okay? A buyer does not have to request a termite inspection. It is written into our contract here. So it is assumed that the buyer is going to have a termite inspection. And if they come back and says that, yes, there is live termites or signs of previous termites, it is going to be expected that the seller treat it, and then the buyer will have that protection. Oh, what about a snake? I did go on a listing appointment one time, and it was a single woman. Went there to do my measurements or something, I don't remember, but went down in the basement, and she lived in a wooded area. Very nice house, but slithering on the floor was a doggone snake. Now, I'm not that scared of snakes, at least not here, because I know none of them are poisonous. She freaked out. I just grabbed the snake and threw it outside. But guys, we do have little critters here. There is a list of people who will treat for termites, bats, raccoons, all kinds of things. If you need some names of those people, feel free to give me a call. I can set you up with a list. You can call, find out what it takes to have it treated. Like I said, certain things such as bats, you can only have them removed during certain periods of time. I'm just curious, what kind of creatures have you encountered in your home? If you want more little stories on real estate, then hit the like button, subscribe, and continue to watch. Once again, this is Rebecca Gaetz-Bishop with Keller Williams Premier Realty.